Do you focus in certain categories, or are you like free? What does it do?
Yeah, every time I source, I'm not just like dallying around with whatever. I'm always going into it with somewhat of a mission, I guess. I know if I get an email about a site that's having a sale, I'll really dive into that sale. So things like that will happen. And then I use Keep a Product Finder a lot. So those are my two main methods of just looking at website sales and then Keep a Product Finder. And every time I'm going in with a specific, I'm going to look at this criteria today, or I'm going to look at this brand, I'm going to look at this website, and I'm just not going to stop until I find something there, or I learned about the general gist of what's going on with that, whatever I'm looking at the time. I don't just randomly start my day doing anything. I try to create a mission, so my hours that I am putting in, my 2 hours could be worth someone else 8 hours, because I'm trying to be very focused on what I'm doing instead of just being on my phone a little bit or doing this, doing that. Just phones on do not disturb, source for 2 hours, make it very, very focused, and then move on from there.
Fantastic. So, and if I understand what you're saying, you have a very clear direction, no distractions, and really it's kind of like opportunities. So there's a sale coming in, fantastic, cool. We'll do a combination of like looking at the newsletter, but also running it through Keep a Product Finder, really understanding that and like bang, hitting that hard. But also you kind of, the brands, the products, the discount codes, everything which kind of works. You're like, yeah, I can do that in like an hour or two, and then obviously cool, just spent like $5,000, done, happy days. Like, yep, I'll take the rest of the week off.
Yep. If I'm looking at a brand that I'm used to selling, and I already know the base price point of what these things are, I know what happens when they go on somewhat of a sale. If I see a bigger sale, hypothetically, I wouldn't even need to look at the Amazon listing if I knew that it was stable. I mean, I do, but I know the general gist of what all these prices are. Or if I see an extra cash back on something and then the sale's still good, well, you just accumulate all this knowledge and you pick up on all these patterns. I think when you put that time in, it lowers the actual time that you need to do it, which I think is very difficult for people to understand at the beginning because you're just looking at a whole new world. But what you have to understand is that a lot of this is a learning game. It's like you're studying something, that the more skills you accumulate and the more knowledge you accumulate in this timing, it just becomes way easier and way easier to where your time is just so efficient at some point when you've been doing it for years and looking at thousands and thousands. I can't even imagine how many products I've looked at, probably over 100,000 products, over 200,000 products. So I know what things are supposed to look like and when they're too cheap, and it's time for me to get them.
Yeah. And the question for you is, so you've been doing it, what, 2.5 years? Is that right?
Yeah.
I know you just said it. How long did it take you before you became like this, where you could start to calm down?
Oh, this is probably in the past 6 months, 8 months. Probably. So it took a year and a half, I guess, maybe 2 years, I guess, to get like that. But I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't know about this focus type of thing. I would just get on the computer and hoping for the best every day, and that is a losing game at the end of the day.
And then before this kind of like, you now kind of, should we say, work part-time? I'm not saying you're lazy, because obviously you've earned that success, damn right, well done. But how many hours a week would you say you were doing sourcing, purchasing before that?
Well, it could be anywhere from 40 to 60, I guess. But I wasn't working that hard. I'm working way harder now in the 2 hours than I was before. And I thought I was working hard before, but if you're not going into things with a mission, if you're not going in to find a specific thing, or you don't have a specific goal, then are you really working that hard? Because there's nothing that you're really trying to get out of it. You're just looking around at stuff.
So just like, I'm just going to come back to you and say, coming in with a mission, like, what does that mean? Like, let's say, for example, like, I'm someone brand new right now. I'm watching this because I'm like, hey man, you're like super successful. I'd love to be doing 15 hours a week, 1.5 million, happy days. And you're talking about like this mission, like, I'm still doing that 40 to 60 hours a week. Like, what do you mean by this mission? Like, tell me, like, exactly what does that mean? Get as much information as you can.
Yeah, lay out a goal at the beginning of the day. I know some people have spend goals. So you can say, I want to spend $2,000 today. I'm not huge on spend goals. That's not necessarily what I do, but I'll just go into it with, I need to find 5 brand new products today. I need to get into one more category today. I need to try this new way of looking at these type of things today. I want to find Amazon to Amazon flips today. I want to find stuff from this website today. I want to take advantage of the cash back that's going on today. Make sure that that's the only thing that you're doing. If you're, for example, if you're saying, I want to take advantage of a 15% Rakuten day, that's what you're doing. You're not going and taking 15% and then, I didn't find anything. It's time to go look at my replenishment stuff. It's time to go look at this. It's time to reverse source or whatever. Do what you need to do and just keep focused on that mission and keep going forward, because you will learn so much about what you're doing when you're just engulfed in whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah, interesting. And I think, like, I understand that. It's kind of like, I need to get a result, and you keep chopping and changing. And you're like, no, just focus. And like, you start getting better and like refining or sharpening that axe, we say. So you talked about it earlier on. You said to yourself, you said earlier on that you were doing 150,000 now, and you were pretty comfortable. I'm going to ask, why are you not growing? Why do you not want to get bigger? Come on, man! Like you could be doing like 10 million. You could be like bigger than Saros. Like why not?
I think that once you get to those big numbers, if you're trying to look at something like $10 million, for one, you have to take on a lot more debt. You have to have a lot more leverage. I'm just not, I didn't even know what debt was when I started this. I got a credit card and I thought that you have to pay your credit card off every time you get a balance on it. My parents didn't really stress that stuff too when I was younger. They didn't do the whole credit card thing. It was just, you don't need to be in debt. Debt is bad. So I think that's kind of ingrained in my head. So taking on a huge loan to try to grow would be very difficult for me. I don't understand loans for one, so I would have to learn a lot about them. And then taking on that risk and have that over my head, I think it'd be a bit of a mental stress, and maybe I could get over it, but I don't feel I need to at this point. And then when you get to that point, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. There's a lot more lost inventory. There's a lot more price tanking you have to deal with. All the problems that you have now, they get literally 10 times bigger. If you're doing $1 million a year and you have all these problems, if you're doing 10 million, they're 10 times bigger. So I already have enough problems. Not that I have problems all the time with the business, but there's things that arise, and I couldn't imagine multiplying that 5x. I would need way more power than just me, or I would have to work way more hours a week. And not that I don't want to hire a bunch of people, but I think that my time would be better spent elsewhere. But I think OA is a great way to make money at the moment, and I think that I won't stop doing it until I absolutely have to. I think it's a great way to cash flow. I think the way I'm running it, where I'm not over leveraging myself, it quite literally is just cash flow every month. If I'm not trying to grow, hypothetically, I should have way more cash on hand every month if I don't have to reinvest it and I have to chase the orange bars every month, because I don't find that super appealing as I did when I started.
People like the orange bars. They look great, but they are a vanity metric. They're not the and you see it, and you see it. People do big numbers, and I get your point. You scaled 10x, and you have 10 times the problems. You talked about you have problems right now. Can I ask? Can you share some of them? Like, what are the problems you get? Like, someone at your level, what are the problems that you face every day?
Well, the largest problem, and I'm doing things to combat this now, is that I would get this removed inventory, whether it be shoes or anything really, that how they are. They're just completely destroyed inventory, or even if it's slightly used, or sometimes somebody will send something back brand new, and for some reason Amazon sends it back to you. Maybe the package has a little scratch on it, whatever the criteria is. And I just kind of let that accumulate over the time. So I don't know how much money that I have sitting in dead inventory right now, but if I had to guess, it's probably 50 or 60 grand just sitting in a storage unit. And I'm just, one day I'll get to it. And then I just realized, I just keep saying this, but nothing's really stopping me from doing something with it. So now I've set up with like a prep center that does that type of thing. So I'm sending them my inventory. They're listing it on eBay. They're listing it on Amazon if it's new, doing that, recovering that money. That's the biggest problem that's like looming over my head. But aside from that, you just have to be very monitoring of your pricing. I'm sure I could hire someone to do that as well, but making sure that I'm getting the optimal price out of things. Not if prices are tanking, should I hold it at my price? Should I go down in price? Whatever it may be.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point. Like, you have these people who are growing. You have all these kind of problems going on, and and I think that's the one that people don't really kind of realize, that you have a lot of stock in asset value, which might be completely dead stock, which has really no value. Like 60,000, like that's people's wages, a yearly wage, and you're like, yeah, it's probably just a pile somewhere. Like, that's a lot of cash. That's scary. That really is. And obviously, if you were to 10x it, now you have 600,000 in, dead stock somewhere. Like that's like houses. We're talking property here. And like people will spend their lives to buy a property, and you're like, it's just sat in a pile in the back garden. It's really bad. So question for you. Obviously, you're doing, you're 24, you're doing 1.5 now, roughly. You did 2 million last year, 150,000. I think we talked a bit about it off air, but I'd love to share it. Like, what do your friends think? The family think? Like, how does this work? Like, you're crazy. Like, what's going on? Are you drug dealing or something?
I try to educate people as much as possible, but as you know, this stuff is so wild and lucrative to a normal person that most of the time I just try to give a very basic gist. I buy stuff really cheap somewhere and I sell it on the internet more expensive. That's about the most simple it can get. I wish that I could know what people thought about it, but I assume that most people are like, well, he works really, really hard. Because whenever I try to teach someone or try to explain them, they just think, well, he's just a really hard worker. And then, as you know, I work 2 hours a day. So I've got them fooled, I guess, in that part. But I have worked really hard to get to this point. But I love this kind of stuff. I love being on the internet. I love talking to other people. I love doing the whole Amazon thing in general. So it's pretty natural to me. And I'm sure people can tell I'm really passionate about when I talk about it in person. So that's how they know.
So obviously you're living a great life, you're earning good money. Like, why are your friends not doing this? Let me ask that question.
Yeah, I think it's very difficult. I always used to think, well, people are just stupid or people are lazy, the typical things everyone says. And over the last probably 6 to 8 months, maybe longer, but I've became more wise about it, I believe. And I think that it's very hard for people to grasp making more money. Maybe they want to make, everyone wants to make more money. Everybody's got somewhat dreams, I would hope that. But when you're at $60,000 a year, you're at $70,000 a year, and your life is good, nothing's bad. You can pay your bills, you can go out to eat, you can go on dates, whatever you need to do. I think it's very hard for you to mentally see that jump to what would 150K do for my life, or what would 200K do for my life, or what would even 100K do for my life if I'm free and on my own schedule. I think it's very difficult for people to grasp that, and it's almost impossible for them to grasp it unless their back's against the wall. If I'm about to get laid off from my job, or I'm taking a pay cut, or whatever it may be. I think that's when people realize that stuff. So I can sit here and tell people you should do this or you should do that, but at the end of the day, I think it's very difficult for people to even comprehend that type of thing.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think it's interesting because we're talking about them from, say, like a 50, 60,000 a year going up to 150,000 with you. Like, are they willing to do that work? But we could even ask the same question of you. You're doing 150,000 a month in sales. Why are you not going to 10, like $1 million a month? And you're like, because I'm happy. Like, I could, but I don't want to. It's not my idea of where I want my life to go. And I think that's a really important point. So, like, at the end of the day, as we said earlier on, the orange bars aren't the be all and end all. It's about having a nice quality of life, and you understand that with extra reward comes extra work. And sometimes I'm like, hey, I'm quite comfortable where I am now. Question for you. I appreciate a lot of people watching this are starting. They're getting beginning, and you've been through that journey the last 2.5 years. You've been successful, you've grown it. What advice do you have for them? Like, how should they think about this whole problem? Because they probably want to give up after, 3 days of sourcing this stuff is hard. Like, what advice do you have?
Well, that's the perfect, I think, framing your expectations correctly. I think that Amazon is the easiest business to start, but it is one of the hardest ones to get good at because it's such a competitive environment due to it being so easy to start. So I think framing your expectations of this is 100% possible, but you're going to have to put the work in, especially if you want to make a lot of money per year. It's not simple. It's not just I go on Walmart and I buy a bunch of cheap stuff and I sell on Amazon. It's not. There's a lot more that goes into it, and you're just going to have to really get down there, get nitty gritty with it. I mean, it's difficult to start, and it's a large learning curve to get to where you need to go. But just stay consistent. Most of the basic stuff. Stay consistent. Frame your expectations correctly. Know that you're probably not going to make $10,000 profit your first month. You're going to have to slowly build up there, and there's a lot for you to learn. Get in there, network with as many people as possible, learn as much as possible, and then build up from that. And know that it's a long journey, and that journey moves way faster than you think it will. If you tell someone a year from now you could be making $10,000 a month, they think, well, that's just so long, I want to make it next month. But a year flies by, especially with this kind of stuff. You have so much going on that a year goes by very quickly. These last 3 years, I can't even believe they went by so quick. So remember time frames.
And I think the interesting one is, like, even when you talk of it from a job perspective, to be able to say, hey, you're gonna get like a $5,000 a month pay rise. That's like, whoa, that's huge. Like, you don't get this opportunity in such a short space of time in the employment world. It just doesn't really happen. Very exceptional. And the way I kind of look at the whole equation is we all have 24 hours in a day. It's just your choice how you spend them. And if you focus them on a certain goal, like you do with sourcing, you'll get a much better result in that time. And it's really fascinating. And I think the one thing I think as well is the fact that regardless of what happens with Amazon, you're learning massive skill sets here. Credit, dealing with suppliers, dealing with ordering, dealing with VAs. Like, these are skills that are really valuable, and they can be transferred to other businesses. Trade is never going away ever. There'll always be trade in economies because it's existed before money, so it will continue to exist, which is really interesting. Question for you: 150,000 right now, 3 million in lifetime sales. You're chilling. You're doing a couple of hours a day. What's the future hold? Where are you going? What are you doing?
Well, I've saved up a lot of cash from not trying to grow the OA business necessarily. So I want to try to start a private label brand soon. That's the biggest inclination I have going forward. I think that the exitability of that is a huge deal. I think that being able to make $100,000 from your business and then sell it for $500,000 the next year, I think that's a big deal. I didn't know that, I guess, as much when I started, but I'm getting more towards that. I know I have all this time to put into different stuff, and then whatever business models come up, there's always opportunities rising. investing. As you know, the internet's just moving so quickly that I'd like to have a lot of cash and I'd like to have a lot of time to take advantage of these opportunities when they come up, because not a lot of people will get that opportunity to do that. And I'm grateful that I do, and I'm definitely going to take advantage of it when it comes. But as of now, just moving towards the private label thing and trying to learn as much about that as possible as well.
Cool. Are you thinking of doing anything off Amazon, or is it still on the Amazon platform? You might like it, you understand it?
Definitely on the Amazon platform. I think ideally it would be off Amazon, obviously, but I think I know so much about it that it would almost be, why would I just start something brand new when I can kind of do something that I already know a bit about? And I can, if it is successful on Amazon, if I start a successful line of products or whatever it is, I can always move it to somewhere else. I have experience with Shopify, I have experience with those type of things. So you can just move it there relatively quickly, or I pay someone that knows how to do it better than me.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. Like, you made some money, fantastic. Don't go and spend all that money on something you have no idea about. By the way, whether it be money or whether it be knowledge, you've learned all this knowledge, deploy it into another area. Like, you're looking for synergies, things which kind of like, I can leverage what I've already learned to help me get ahead, which I think is so powerful. So if anyone's getting in contact with you, what's the best way to do it?
You can find me on Twitter and you can find me on Instagram, Drew FBA. Very simple. I'm more responding on Instagram, so I would message me there if you have specific questions towards me.
Hey, Drew, man, I want to join your inner circle. Let me join. Give me. By the way, Drew, why have you not sent me deals already? Don't do that. That's not a good thing. Drew, I just want to say thank you so much for your time. Honestly, really inspirational journey. And hopefully I can kind of touch base in a year's time, see how you got on, and hey, maybe see the private label, see what's going on with the Amazon business. Hey, maybe, come out, fly out and meet you as well, or see you at some kind of meetup. So I just want to say thank you so much for your time. Thank you very much for sharing. And also look forward to seeing your journey over the coming months and years. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me a ton.